So I received the news that I had cancer. When we were headed home, you just think of all the things that you wanted to do and you never had a chance to do, and you start thinking it could possibly be over. And we didn't have kids at the time, and we wanted to have kids, and my career was just taking off. Yeah, I'm 23 years old at the time. I think I'm invincible. And you start seeing these knots pop up on your neck, and I'm keeping it from my wife because I'm concerned and I don't want her to worry. But the more they pop up and the bigger they get, the more I realize that something needs to be done and it needs to be looked at. And so yeah, it's very, very frightening to go through that. So I go to the doctor, and they showed me that they really didn't know what was wrong, and they said that they're going to give me some medicine, try to see if that helps. Maybe it was swollen glands or something. So that's what they started out with, and it wasn't helping me. So I went back to the doctor, and it just kept getting bigger, and my face was more swelled than it was. And then they started getting concerned and said it looks more serious, and so they said we're going to get you into a specialist this week. And they got me into a specialist like the next day, which normally that never happens. So the specialist looked at it and said, we're having surgery this week because it looks pretty serious to us. Whenever I went to the specialist, and he tells me that it looks suspicious, and we're going to have to get you in for surgery right away, my heart sank, and you definitely think the worst at the time. And especially with me not being in church or going to church, and I was in a backslidden position at the time, and really wasn't thinking that way. I was just thinking, that it's going to be a bad thing. So, I was pretty scared. Yeah. Whenever we went in for surgery, there was 3 doctors in the surgery room and the operating room, and so they were like, doing surgery, and they came out at the end and told my wife. They said that all 3 doctors seen it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that we're going to need to start treatment, radiation and chemo immediately, because your husband is got this cancer, and it's bad, and it's through his whole neck area, and so, make a long story short, they told my wife this news, and so I was in recovery when I came out. Then she kind of let me know what was going on. So we went home, and it's kind of like our whole world stopped at that point. We didn't know what to do, and we just did the only thing that we knew to do, is pray, and then I needed God, and so that's when I started calling out to him, and knowing he was the only one that could help me. And so we started calling, family and friends for prayer requests, and so my family said, come over and we're going to pray for you. And so we went over to sit down and let them pray for me, and as soon as they started praying, you could just feel something different in the room, like God's presence just start coming in, and just real strong, and you could just feel it. And so they were praying for me, and all of a sudden I felt like this rain come over my body, and felt like it was raining on me, and raindrops everywhere. And so at that point I started feeling like just a heat go up and down through my body like I never felt before, and at that point I knew God had touched me, God had healed me. Whenever the night I got healed, I still had the knots and the tumors on my neck, and the swelling on my face. My eyes were almost swelled shut, and I could barely see. And the devil would come, and talk to me, and it's like, you're not healed, and I would have to talk right back to him and say, yes, I am healed, because I know what I felt, and he wasn't going to take that away from me. And I just kept claiming my healing, and knowing that I was healed. After the prayer meeting, we went back home, and still didn't have the results back. They said they were still going to send it off to pathologist, and we're still waiting on that report. And it got later in the week and we still hadn't heard from them. So I called them, before it hit the weekend, and I'm like, I need to know those reports. I said, you guys haven't called me yet. And they're like, well, the doctor usually calls you in for that report, and let me go talk to the doctor. So they came back and they said, we really don't like doing this on the phone, but you've been checked and it's saying it's benign, that you have no cancer. And me and my wife just busted out in tears and started praying that we got that good report. And so they said they still want to see me on Monday to come back in. So we went back in on Monday, and the doctor's like, I really can't explain it. All I know is that you don't have cancer, and I seen it with my own eyes with 2 other doctors, and not one of us can explain it, but all we know is that the cancer is not there, and that you're okay, but you still have these knots and you still have this swelling. We really don't know what to do for you, so we're going to give you this medicine. It's pretty much the same medicine you had before, and hopefully it does you some good. So I went back home and still had the knots, still had the swelling, but I'm still praying that that I still have my healing. I'm still claiming my healing, and before you know it, probably a week goes by, and then the knots start slowly disappearing, the swelling starts going down, and yeah, you feel like you have another second chance of life. That when something like that happens, and you can start living your life, is kind of the way I felt. What I'd say to somebody if they just got the report that they got cancer, I'd tell them that God is the physician, and He's the ultimate physician. And anytime a doctor tells you you have something, that doesn't mean God can't take it away. God can heal you in an instant.